Hello everyone and welcome back to RC Fun and Games. I am Ryan and today we have got something really awesome on the table to check out and of course take out for a little test so I can show you guys what it's capable of. Now, this is a GRRC Trx4m 6x6 platform that I found on AliExpress. Now, it definitely needed quite a few things doing to it before I could even get the suspension to articulate and for it to roll. So let's start talking about the issues I had with the drivetrain on this truck. The drive shaft in the back, which was provided, which was identical to the front one here, it just fell out. Every time you moved the suspension, it would just fall out. So there was no way of making that drive shaft work. So I used a stock Traxxas Trx4m drive shaft to put in here for now, just so we can do some testing with the platform. Besides that, I also had to change some of the links because they weren't sitting in the right places and it actually would jam up completely when trying to push the suspension up. So that was another issue I had to address. I didn't notice any other issues with the drivetrain besides the drive shaft falling out and the links in the back that needed a better setup. Now, moving on to the shocks. The shocks are actually really good. As you can see, they move really nicely. They got nice articulation, very smooth movement, but when I got them, they were very stiff. The reason being, there was absolutely not a drop of oil in them. Once I put oil in them, they worked great. And I don't notice any oil coming out or anything like that. The one thing I did change was the springs. The springs that were on here were really stiff, so I got rid of them and threw some of the Enduro springs on. Besides that, I also had to change the spacers which were provided. The ones that came were too short and the shocks were all touching the chassis rails, causing big issues with the articulation. But once I addressed all that, everything seems to move really nicely. I'm really happy with the overall flexibility of the rig considering the way it is set up. Now, the only reason I've got a stock Traxxas motor is in here is that's what I had lying around, and I've also got a stock servo lying in there. So this is just for testing purposes. This is not what we're going to be putting in the build. But I just wanted to talk a bit about the platform itself and let you know what you get with it. So besides these awesome aluminium chassis rails that you get with it, you do get aluminium shocks, which are oil fillable, so definitely worth it. And in my opinion, they're as good as the Enduro shocks. Once you've oiled them and set them up the way you like them, they seem to work just as good. Besides that, you get brass bumpers, brass rims, brass transmission, brass battery tray. All the links are brass. I believe the drive shafts are also brass. And of course, the axles are brass. So this thing is extremely heavy. Okay, let's just talk a little bit about the wheels that also come part of this kit. So you get brass beadlock rims and you get these cool little tires. Now, these tires actually feel really good and they hook up really good. But I will show you here that you see, they are very deformed. I stripped them down, but there's two deformed tires on this platform. You see, this one as well. It's got like funny ridges all over it. But besides that, the tires, when I took it out, it did hook up really nicely. And I've got to say, I was actually quite impressed with the overall quality. Okay, so to get this platform to run, you will need a motor, you will need a servo, battery, electronics, of course. But besides that, everything else is there for you to make it run. But don't forget the small issues I had. So when you place an order for this, make sure you order some drive shafts. And I would also order a kit of spacers from Enduro just to make sure you've got what you need to get this thing to articulate and move freely. Now, I'm not going to talk much more about this platform because we are going to do our own build with this chassis. The only reason I've got all these stock components from Traxxas in here is so that I can do some testing around the backyard course with the platform just to make sure everything is working the way it's supposed to. And as you know, I've only got the stock electronics in, so don't expect a very smooth, nice crawl from this, just because the gearing inside the transmission, I believe, is the high gearing, and the motor hasn't got much power for this heavy rig. But it will do fine just for the little bit of testing I'm going to be doing outside. So I'm going to leave you guys with that running footage, but it won't be long from now that I will start my custom IR60 build with this GRRC chassis platform. So stay tuned, there's gonna be one 6x6 build coming soon. So for now, I think I've covered basically the whole platform. We will talk more about it when I do the IR60 build. So for now, I hope you guys enjoy the footage outside. If you do, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Until the next one, happy trails everyone.